Well, if you are coming to the SP200 launch webinar, you are in the right place. My name is Jack Miller. I'm the president and CEO of T360. I have here Paul Hagee, our editor-in-chief and the architect of our SP200 report for 2024. We've got a lot of people registered for this thing, so we're going to give people just a minute to make their way into the webinar. And if I'm looking away, it's because I'm tracking as people are coming in, and they are coming in quite rapidly. So, Paul, I know this is one of the major projects that we endeavor to do for the industry that we really do I see it as a pro bono service where we're looking at across the industry and do a lot of analysis. And I know one of the questions we get is how much time do we spend on this report? So I thought as people are coming in, talk to us a little bit about your involvement with the report, like when you started working on it and how much.
Well, I was just about to say, I was just about to ask you how you're feeling, because we know this has been months of work. It really starts throughout the year. We're tracking movement throughout the year in a sheet, and then we get together as a leadership team in early November, as you know, and it's a really interesting exercise. And for people that know, we really have as close to a scientific method as you can have in this type of thing. There's some unavoidable subjectivity, but we're really evaluating, and it's a great exercise. Even if we never, you and I talked, even if we never had built a list or distributed it internally, it really makes you think about where people fit, how companies are organized. And we have that on the back end, so it just makes us kind of understand the industry better, which is the part of the exercise, like helping as publishing this, people can see like, okay, here's a careful analysis of who has the most power, for lack of a better word.
Well, and if you are on the list or the watch list, and I don't mean to make this sound like we're the FBI or anything, but we have a file. we're keeping track of you, and if you're mentioned in the press or we get a press release or anything happens, there's a Slack channel with our whole group, and we share promotions, updates, accomplishmants, and then it all gets reported into our database where we track everybody. So I think we've got our group here. So why don't we let's get this rolling. So I want to welcome everybody. My name is Jack Miller. I'm the president and CEO of T360. We're going to do a short discussion about the Swanepoel Power 200 ranking that we published yesterday. This ranking is in its 11th edition. So we've done this for the past 11 years, where we have been tracking industry leaders throughout their careers through promotions, advancements, selling their company, coming back to the industry in some cases after being out of the industry for a little while. So it's an exercise that we do every year to account for, where are all the leaders, who are the leaders of the largest companies, who are leaders who have made significant contributions to the industry, who are driving initiatives, who are making changes. And I have with me today Paul Hagee, who's our editor-in-chief and editor over all of the T360 research publications, including this one, which is part of the Real Estate Almanac. So, Paul, I'm gonna turn it over to you, and I'll bring up our first couple of slides here for you to talk to the group a little bit about the Swanepoel Power 200.
Yep, and we can go to the next slide and just dive right into some of the details of this year's report. So this is months in the making, and it's designed. Stefan and Jack, you've been intimately a part of it, and I've been a part of it for a number of years, and this is designed to be a mirror of power in the industry, not a decision that we're like people that we know or that we are friends with or even clients. This is like designed to be as accurate a mirror as we can make of power in the industry. So this year's list included 216 leaders total. That's the 200, the Power 200. And the reason there's more than 200 is because some of the slots have people paired up, and there's even one where there's a triple. So and then the breakdown, we have what we call sub lists, where these are the number of leaders in each of these categories, 4 categories: brokerage and franchise, organized real estate, technology, and then other services like coaching and media. And then we have one thing to note, it was kind of exciting this year, Jack, that we had more women than ever among the top, the SP200, 53.
I think it's notable. We know the industry, and believe me, we get the people come to us and say like, "Hey, why aren't there more XYZ group represented on the list?" 100% get that, and we are equally as frustrated and want to do more to make the lists of powerful leaders in the industry more diverse. And I think what we're seeing is some of the initiatives started years ago, going back to the Awesome Females in Real Estate Conference, the CAR's Women Up initiative, the initiative that Sue started over at Anywhere, What Moves Her, and there has been work on developing women leaders for the industry, and we're starting to see the results of that. And it's also notable there's some large organizations really placing a real focus on making sure that they cast their nets far and wide and looking for executive talent. And I think that's where we're starting to see the shift. And it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time. And we did a lot of work this year to, as we do every year, reached out to Women Council of Realtors, reached out to all the national organizations and said, who are all the leaders in your organization that are maybe not as represented in leadership that we should tap into. So I think we got more this year because of the industry slowly, the wheels turning and leadership changing. So
the same goes for underrepresented groups. We're looking and advocating for that actively as we can. And so there's two bonus lists. We call them bonus lists. There's a watch list. And this year, Jack, you got ambitious and was like, hey, let's add, let's more than double it, which we did. And these are people that are kind of rising in the industry.
Yeah, we expanded the watch list because we feel that we're in a time of change where there's some demographic change in the list. Like we had a lot of change in that. We had 45 new leaders entering the list
this year.
That's nearly a quarter of the list are new leaders that came on. And some of this is demographic change between shifts from the baby boomer demographic over to Gen X and younger generations taking leadership in organizations. And we felt having a larger watch list of potentially incoming CEOs, incoming presidents, was good. So we spent extra time creating that list. It also let us bring in people that maybe have been playing a strong role behind the scenes and could be ready for that top job. So that watch list is definitely one to pay attention to. And like I said, if you're on our list, that means we are keeping track of your career and we're watching your
Jack,
and thinking about you.
We should probably emphasize that you can see the list now at sp200.com. Yes. And you can navigate. There's bios with all of these leaders. There's photos. They're categorized, so you can go to the site and kind of filter through as you see fit. And then we have outside influencers. These are just people that aren't directly in the industry, but they're too big not to consider if we're really trying to map influence and power. Like Warren Buffett's on there, because his firm owns Home Services of America, and the president's on there, the U.S. president, and so those are just notable. Those are things to keep in mind if we're talking about power in the industry. It's important to know who has really tangential, really strong influence in the industry.
Yeah, that's correct. And it's just because the Fed makes a change, so we need to keep track of who the Fed chairman is or chairperson is to make sure that we know who is influencing the industry. In this case, we included some people from the DOJ. We included people involved in the commission class action lawsuits. So just because they do have an outsized influence on the industry right now, even though they're not of it. So why don't we talk a little bit about power and how people make it onto the list? Because I know it's a tricky concept for a lot of people to get their heads wrapped around. So Paul, talk to us a little bit about how we determine it.
This is as you and I both know, and people involved in the debate team on SP200, it's an art and a science. But we really do the research to try to get as much information we have on these people, the size of the organization they lead or are a part of, where they land on the org chart. And then we compare those with the MLS, where do they rank within the MLS list? Where do they rank within the association list? Where do they compare to other brands, leaders at a similar position? So we're really trying to match that up. But also, as far as power is concerned, it's not just the size of the organization, of course, Jack. It's like, do they have an ownership stake?
Yeah.
How much financial resources do they have at their disposal? Gino being part of Home Services, there's a lot of capital potentially there. And that's, you start adding these all in, it's not apples to apples. So you enter this all in and we debate and we carefully consider. and then we
Yeah,
come up with it.
and there's some criteria too around like where are they contributing time in the industry? Are they behind? Are they the person behind initiatives that are happening? You know, have they had a significant amount of volunteer service in the industry? Are they, you know, just an influential person? There's some people that have just tremendous influence over others because of their wisdom, their time in the industry, their network that they're connected to, and we look at those factors as well. It's a little harder to measure, but it's something that we get to debate with. You know, many industry leaders have that personal influence that we have to measure. So it's both art and science where we're looking at the data, but we're also looking at, you know, and some of this comes from interviews that we do with industry leaders talking about, well, who do they go to? Who do they listen to? Who are they watching in the market? And
and from all of our experiences, all the consultants, all the our interactions with people, we're trying to get a full spectrum picture of these people in a lot of different ways. So it makes for an interesting exercise every year.
Yeah, great. Well, you ready to talk about the top 10?
Let's do that.
All right, let's jump in. So this is the top 10 for this year, Paul. So take us through how we got here. How did we get to this group that we have on the screen right here?
Well, as you can see, what stands out is Ryan Schneider has moved to number one, the president and CEO of Innerwear Real Estate. And, you know, he has been in years since he's led the company. He's really focused on reshaping the management structure. And this year, through the first 3 quarters, they achieved profitability, which is remarkable compared to some of the other large brokerages. And that was one of the things that stood out. Like, he had a consistent level of leadership there. And also, as we have talked about, notably was one of the earliest to settle in the lawsuit, which is was a big move forward for them to allow them to move forward a little bit more cleanly.
It gets now they're not worried about it in the same way that the other defendants are. They're able to move on. At this point, I think when they settled, people had questions. Months later, it's looking very smart because they've sidestepped a lot of the complications with the copycat lawsuits. I also have to say, in the prior year, you know, executing the rebrand to Anywhere Real Estate, which again, every big rebrand has its risk, and I think it's stuck. I think it's held. The industry has accepted it, likes it, is using it. So Ryan's had a tremendous amount of change that he's managed the company through and gotten into profitability. So this is and managed his way out of a difficult position with these commission class action lawsuits. And for that reason, we appointed him the number one most powerful leader in real estate. So let's talk about our rationale behind some of the others that are here.
Yeah. Well, you know, the Gary has been a perennial leader there. He is the largest stakeholder and very influential in the industry for years, and a very powerful person in the industry. The largest single brand in the industry, hundreds of thousands of agents in the U.S. and Canada. And then we have Gino, which is has consistently, and we did a chapter on this in last year's Trends Report, runs a really tight, profitable, large brokerage operation, and pretty significant. And we have Sue, who's going to join us shortly on the call. She's the most powerful standalone female leader ever in the SP 200. And that's remarkable. That kind of ties in with Ryan Schneider a little bit. That's part of his management restructure bringing, and she has all the brands under her. And then, of course, we have Annalie Florence, which is coming in, all guns blazing in 2023 and 2024, really competing strongly in the home portal space with Home.com.
I think it's undoubtable that he's made people are responding to his initiatives and what CoStar is doing in our space. I've got a few other comments just to sprinkle on top of where some of these people got to. You know, EXP continued to grow despite the downturn in the market, was profitable for 3 quarters, yes. I think at the end of Q3. So shows some remarkable strength there. Rich, still Zillow maintains its king of the castle as far as being the largest portal. Shut down their prior initiatives from iBuying.
Follow Up Boss.
Follow Up Boss, which is an incredible, probably the top CRM in the industry. I mean, people have been asking for 5 years, what's the biggest, best CRM there is that's a standalone CRM. I think Follow Up Boss was the prize, and it bought that. That's a big move. Robert returning into the acquisitions game, buying Realty Austin here in my backyard, very large, $5 billion company.
Still the nation's largest brokerage.
Still the nation's largest brokerage. So a few others, and the Hannahs continue to operate a really phenomenal organization that we wrote about this year in our trends report, and continuing to do acquisitions, being involved in multiple that we know are coming in this year. So everyone here, and then notably Nick entering, having really, we don't like to put people on the top 10 right away when they come in. Sometimes we wait, and we brought him into top 10 this year just out of recognition of his tenure as a most senior leader at Remax for the last 2 years. So that's it. So any other comments, and then we want to move on to our next segment here.
I think this is good.
Okay,
we're ready.
Great. We're ready. So we have a special guest today, which is Sue from Anywhere Brands has chosen to join us for a little bit and talk a little bit about, give a little bit more introduction for Sue here.
Well, as we mentioned, she's the highest ranking standalone female leader ever. Helen Hanna has been part of it with the company leaders at Howard Hanna up on the top 10, but Sue has kind of solidified the presence in the top 10 as a standalone woman. It's the highest ranking ever. She runs a lot of significant brands at Anywhere Real Estate, and these include the company-owned and franchised offices within Anywhere, and combined it's 195,000 U.S. agents. I mean, this is a massive job. It's $636 billion in annual U.S. sales. So this is a huge, huge organization she's leading the day-to-day operations for. And so, Sue, welcome. Thank you for joining us. You have a huge job, obviously, and we want to congratulate you and just say congratulations for being in the top 10, and for the second year in a row the top 10. And wanted to ask you, what are some of the things you're looking for or working on in 2024 as you look to lead this massive organization?
Hey everyone, thanks for having me, and thanks so much for the recognition. Super honored. I'm in great company, and not just with all of my Anywhere colleagues across the country, but all of the people in the industry. And look, I'm excited about the year ahead. I always am. I think we have such a dynamic industry that is certainly not changing in the year that we're heading into, following the year that we're heading out of, I guess you would say. So lots going on, tremendous excitement. Look, at our organization, we can consistently focus on our profitable growth, that we are, leaning into, of course, continuing to grow the franchise business that we absolutely love. Supporting our franchisees, our customers, their agents during this market, whatever market there is, continuing to support them, continuing to dive in and invest in our leading luxury businesses. We certainly love the luxury end of the business, Sotheby's International Realty and Corcoran, of course, and our global luxury business with Coldwell Banker Realty, but all of our brands that enter into any of the businesses, the areas that we support and service, and looking to really continue to focus on integrating that transaction and simplifying it for the consumer. You mentioned earlier the rebrand to Anywhere, and that was part of a pivot and a shift, all at the same time.
All at the same time, yeah.
Into really focusing on, I make up words too. That's just what I do.
We're going to keep that word, Sue. That's good.
Yeah, it's a good one, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Listen,
that's another trend this year for us.
There you go. New trends, new words. That'll be my intention for the year, right? People pick their words. But it is pivoting to the consumer a little bit, not away from our agents and our brokers supporting them, but how can we better enable our customers, whether it be our agents or our franchisees, our broker owners, to support the consumer in that transaction. And, we firmly believe that the customer is looking for something different today, the consumer, and we want to continue to enable our customers, our agents, to service them in that way. So that's a lot of the focus. We're continuing to lean in on that opportunity, continuing to strengthen our balance sheet as we have, as you've mentioned, Ryan has been really focused in, and ultimately helping lead this industry through change and lead our customers through that.
Yeah, the end-to-end, Jack, I mean, she mentioned the integration, which was the interesting underlying trend, which we're watching, which is the integration brings more of a consumer thought into these larger companies where it used to be 100% through the agent or traditionally. And that end-to-end integration is really, really compelling because I know we've been watching that. It's a years long kind of dream and move that I know that a lot of companies, and you guys included,
and I have like 1 million questions for Sue that we'd run for hours to talk about, some of the technology work you guys have done to support that, and picking some very big partners for that and making big moves there. Some of the changes that we've seen, throughout the organization, where it's evident that the changes afoot anywhere to make it ready for the market that is in 2024 and beyond. So I know you're going to be joining us at the T3 Leadership Summit. We're excited to have you. We're going to get to maybe not 1 million questions, but we'll get to some of those questions on stage with you there. And so those of you that are coming to that Leadership Summit, you can look forward to that. It's been great having you at our past events. So again, congratulations, Sue. We really appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your day and joining us. And again, share with all of your colleagues back at Anywhere how proud of the entire organization we are to see the accomplishments you've created for the industry, and continue to do good things in 2024.
Thank you. Super proud of the team. Love this industry we get to be a part of, and that we help shape. And I'm excited about the opportunity ahead. Thank you. I look forward to joining you guys on stage here in what will be just a couple weeks, and look forward to an awesome 2024. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Sue.
Thanks, Sue.
All right. So next up, we have another special guest for today, who is also making their debut in the top 10 of the Swanepoel Power 200, which is Nick Bailey. So, Paul, tell folks a little bit about Nick.
Well, it's his first time, as you mentioned, debut in the top 10. He leads, Remax, which is the largest brand in the world. Of course, we're focusing on North America. It's a huge brand within North America. It's 58,000 U.S. agents, over 290 billion in annual U.S. sales. And he's been with Remax for a long time. Before he started his career, in leadership there, and then went to market leader, then Zillow. I was CEO of Century 21, formerly, with Sue's group over there, and then a couple of years ago came back to Remax to lead the company, and he kind of was appointed president in 2021 and had the CEO title in 2022. So he's running a big company there as well, as we know, and it's one of the largest brands in Canada. We should add as well.
Yeah.
So I think we can
very strong brand in North America, including Canada. So Nick, come on and join us. Let's have a little chat with you here.
Hi guys, thanks for having me.
Yeah, we are delighted to have you, and congratulations for making it into the top 10. I know that, Stefan and myself have followed your career for a long time, been very impressed with you've had a lot of facility, being able to move from technology companies and brokerage companies and franchise companies, and kind of being able to speak the language across all these different areas in the industry. So, tell us a little bit about what's in store for Remax this year. What are you focused on? What are you paying attention to? Where are you going for 2024? Where's the organization going?
Yeah, great question. First and foremost, thanks for including me in this. And as Sue mentioned, and congratulations to Sue specifically, I've seen this list for 11 years. And if you would have asked me 11 years ago that we'd be doing this, and you'd say, Nick, you're in the top 10, I would have said you were crazy. So honor is an understatement, but it is creepy that we're all on a watch list. You're going to have an episode on that just by itself. I think that's a warning to everybody out there. But it is a compliment that you watch our careers. I will also say this. I look through the list and it just reminds me the two best parts that I think of this business since I got licensed when I was 21 is how extremely competitive we all are. I look at all of my colleagues and friends on that list and we're wildly competitive. But I think this list just demonstrates the amount of cooperation that also happens. That I look through the list and I know almost every one of them, and so many of them I can call friends. And so I think it's a neat way that you put all of this together. So anyway, that said, 2024, I'll say this. The amount of optimism that I've seen in the last few weeks around 24, I think is absolutely infectious. I think coming off a record year of 22 into 23 and the contraction, all you saw were headlines that were not so good news, or at least that's how it felt. I think where we are coming into 24, I think overall as an industry, we're going to see an uptick in transactions. I think we'll see rates bounce around a little bit. But I think we'll get some favorability on rates and we'll see some buyers that were been sitting on the fence for a year come back to the market. I think we're going to see more good headlines in 24 than negative. Now, that being said, as far as RE/MAX, we're always hyper-focused on growth, but we're really focused on productivity of the agent. And of course, we all talk about the consumer experience, but our foundation is based on productivity, and very proud of the fact that RE/MAX agents, sell 2 to 1 of the next closest competitor. But this is a time when in 24, I believe we've moved from a momentum-based market to a skills-based market. And whether you're a brokerage owner, whether you're an agent, that's to me the biggest difference that's happening in 24, and where we are laser focused to make sure to support agents to say, the momentum isn't going to get you to your award level or your goal level by the end of the year, but it is going to be your skill set. And that's all driven by a lot of education. So I think in this business, your ability to adapt and excel and educate yourself, get your skills sharpened is the goal for 24. And then the second part of it is marketing. I keep telling everyone, don't get invisible. As people are right-sizing the expenses of their brokerage or an agent, marketing can be expensive, but it doesn't have to be. Within the right channels, within the right network, you can take advantage of things that are out there because it's those that get invisible that the people that like, know, and trust them that will use them will forget about them. And so this is the year of get loud and sharpen your skills.
Strong message, I think, for all of our brokers and practitioners on the call about what to focus on, Nick. So I really appreciate that. And and
we'll have a couple of announcements, but they're not ready for prime time.
Not ready for prime time
today.
Well,
you can break some news if you want to right now.
Yeah, we will have.
Do you have a breaking news banner, and then I'll tell you what it is.
Yeah, we can do that. And those of you that follow along, Real Estate News has done some interviews with Nick, and we look forward to seeing any of that breaking news on realestatenews.com, and also having you back on stage at the Leadership Summit, which I think you and we corresponded over that earlier this week, and hopefully we can make that happen, because I'd like to, again, have a million questions for you about how you see the industry and where it's going. And obviously you shared a little bit of that with us today. So again, just wanted to say congratulations, Nick. Welcome to the top 10. You are in the big leagues now. And we know there's great things coming from you and from RE/MAX, and hope to see many more. So thank you for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Appreciate it very much. We'll see you soon, guys.
Yeah. Bye. Take care. Great. So that's cool. We had a couple of our top 10 people join us for today.
It's awesome.
We've not had a chance to do that before. I'm glad. I think you came up with this, Paul, literally last week.
A couple days ago. Yeah.
Yeah. What if we invited a few people to come on board? I think that's great.
Make this a little bit more fresh.
Yeah, it's good. So those of you that are here, you can get to the full list at sp200.com. That's going to take you over to our broader set of ranking lists at realestatealmanac.com. So everything is going to be there. We do have a schedule, and Paul, why don't you talk people through the schedule of the additional rankings that will be coming out?
This is just for people that aren't necessarily familiar. This is the first section of the Real Estate Almanac, which we do every year. There's 5 sections that are released online successfully each month of the beginning of the year, and then we put together in the book. You can see this is what the printed copy will look like when it comes out in May or June, and we send that out to industry leaders, 2,000 or so industry leaders as a reference point for them to they want a manual, they pick it up. I know I have it on my desk, Jack. I imagine you do too.
Yeah, I do. I've got,
and
there's my
it's
my
really
copy
useful.
Yeah, and it's as you can see, it's quite a reference. I use mine all the time.
Me too.
It's a constant reference.
And not
for
because
me.
I'm with T3, it's just very useful.
Yeah.
So this is the SP200 comes out every January. We have an organized real estate list that's coming out next month. We rank enterprises, franchise brands, and franchisees by sales volume, transaction size, and agent counts. That comes out later this spring. The Mega 1000, which is the largest brokerages, the same metrics that are ranked. That comes out this spring as well. And then we have the Tech 200, which is pretty interesting. Jack, we're choosing the leading technology in the categories, in specific functional categories, and we're picking just 5 of the leaders. And it's it's a great list for practitioners just to go and look like, okay, who is the leader in these specific areas, and that's really interesting.
It is if you are shopping for a particular piece of technology, it's a tremendous list because it tells you like you should at least talk to these companies and make sure you understand whether or not their products are fit, because we've spent a lot of time vetting them, looking at them, working with them in projects, working with them with clients, and they don't make it onto that list lightly. So very powerful. So I noticed we've got January this month, February, the organized real estate MLSs and associations, and that we've left ourselves. I know we have an internal schedule, but to know that corporations, the top 1,000 brokerages, the Tech 200 come out in the spring, and we'll be making announcements. So pay attention to that. If you're on this call and an industry executive and you receive an email from us saying, would you like, a complimentary copy, please respond to that and give us an updated mailing address. I got to tell you, that's the thing that's most frustrating is we don't always have a great mailing address, especially post-COVID. A lot of people moved around. So give us an updated mailing address so we can get you your complimentary copy, which is again released after we do the digital.
Can you emphasize complimentary?
Complimentary. Just fill out the form. You don't have to buy it. We will send it to you. We reserve approximately 2,000 copies for industry executives. You get a notification from us. That means you're in our database. We'll notify you. You can request your copy. And I would be remiss to say we want to thank the advertisers in this publication. We have a number of companies that advertise every year, and they come back year over year. Anywhere's been an advertiser with us. Home Services has been an advertiser with us. Remax has been an advertiser with us to support this research work that is so important for the industry, and that helps us underwrite, making sure everybody gets a copy of this publication. So, but it's all available online, realestatealmanac.com. It'll be updated each month as we roll out these different rankings. And I think that's everything for today, Paul. Anything else to wrap us up?
That's it.
Great.
No, that's it. We're now on to the next list.
on to the next.
Let's celebrate this one for a couple more days, and
Yes. Yeah. And if you have any corrections or anything else that you're seeing that's out of place, please reach out to us. We do take those. We like to get everything corrected before we do the print publication. And other than that, we'll look for many of you on our next webinar series that, Paul and I have been running these for a while. We've got some other team members. We look forward to you on future webinars to talk about our research publications and what people need to know about the industry. So thanks, everybody. Y'all have a great week. Start of the 2024 season. Make it a great year. And we'll see you on our next webinar. Take care.